With Big Thunder Trail opening this week and the ongoing testing of the Mark Twain and the Columbia, people want to know, when will the Rivers of America be open for good? Hello everybody, welcome back to Fresh Baked. Before we begin our update on what's going on with the Rivers of America, I want to ask everybody to take a second to like this video and to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Now, the short answer to that question is that we still don't know for sure. Disney has not announced anything formally, but we've got our ears to the ground, and what we're hearing is the formal opening is going to be probably July 28th. Our assumption is that that means the Mark Twain, the Columbia, the Disneyland Railroad, and the Davy Crockett canoes. We're also hearing that Tom Sawyers Island is pretty much finished and it could open at any day, possibly as early as next week. Now, there's a lot of anticipation for the opening of Tom Sawyers Island, but mostly for nerds like us who really want the island just so we can get a better view of what's going on with the ongoing construction. However, it is my understanding that we won't have any better access to that end of the island, to the tip of the island, than we did before the island closed. That is to say, we're probably only going to be able to see those areas just to the right of the Hungry Bear as you face the Hungry Bear from Tom Sawyers Island. That would include the train truss and possibly the path that goes into Star Wars Land. Having said that, it would surprise me a little if they did open up the island within the week because as far as I can tell, that area is still got a little bit of work left to do, and I don't imagine that they would leave us with an unfinished view of that part of the park. So I would expect maybe a couple of weeks still, at least, for Tom Sawyers Island. Meanwhile, it looks like technical testing has begun for Fantasmic. In this week's trip report on Friday night, we noted that the mist screens were up on Rivers of America, and we also saw the lighting stands that they bring up from New Orleans Square for the show were up and ready for testing as well. This could mean an earlier than expected return for Fantasmic. I myself thought this would be the last thing to come back. But there's really too little information to go on right now, but we're going to keep our eyes open and our ears to the ground and let you guys know as soon as we hear anything new on Fantasmic or any of the other items for Rivers of America. So here's a fun bit of info that at first blush doesn't seem like any big deal, but it could have larger implications. Disney recently themed the backside of Carsland, the side of Carsland that faces Harbor and Catella. And while this obviously has no effect on park operations, it could have an impact on other Disney projects being worked on right now. You see, Disney didn't have to do this, and they seemed quite content to leave the exposed and unfinished backside of Carsland looking the way it had been for years. That is until the Anaheim Convention Center started a massive expansion that includes hotels and rooms that face that part of Disneyland. Apparently, the city of Anaheim came to Disney and asked that they theme the backside of Carsland to improve the view for those guests staying in those rooms at the Anaheim Convention Center, and Disney complied. This is important because Disney is currently involved in a very contentious project that involves building a new parking structure and a pedestrian bridge on Harbor Boulevard. And the city is currently taking the side of local businesses who object to this construction, which has caused that project to stall. So it seems logical that this would be a goodwill gesture on the part of Disney in order to curry more favor with the city of Anaheim in order to expedite that project. And that project is needed. We've got 2 new lands coming with lots of new guests and nowhere to park those cars. And finally, over at Florida, our friends at WDW News Today are reporting that Disney has introduced a new Frozen-themed dessert party and fireworks viewing at Epcot. The dessert party will take place next to the Fast Pass viewing area for Illuminations. After the dessert party and the fireworks show, the entire group will be taken over to the Norway Pavilion for an exclusive ride on Frozen Ever After with little to no wait at all. The event will take place on Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays and will replace the current Illuminations dessert party. Tickets are $79 for an adult and $49 for a child. Stay tuned for more news on this and other topics from our friends at WDW News Today at WDWNT.com. And that's it for today, guys. We'll see you next time. Fresh Baked!